Morning, you guys. It's cold. We got a snowstorm, and my big old house won't get warmer than 60 degrees downstairs. So I got my big chunky coat on. But I couldn't wait to tell you till my son came back with a good computer that you guys know that he stood for his faith and told the teacher he would not do yoga because it was a Hindu spiritual practice, religious practice that brought evil spirits to the body, and he didn't want to do it. And he was a Christian. When she said, I'm a Christian too, it's just exercise and you're going to do it. So he prayed that I would come, or God would help him not have to do something against his own conscience. And I was so proud of him. And the moment they started the music, I showed up at his school, and they called him to the office right as they were putting the children in the poses. So the Lord answered his prayer, and now my son is really excited about God. He sometimes gets resentful at me for spending time in the Bible and not him, or helping people that write me with, texts or emails about spiritual crisis or questions, and he gets kind of, resentful that, why do you talk about God and the Bible so much, But now he's excited because God's been real to him. He answered his prayer. And, but I wanted to tell you thank you for your prayers, because it occurred to me the very night, a few hours after he stood for his faith, kid was fine all day. Super high fever, wiped out, weak, couldn't even hold his head up. By the time he got to his dad's, I got home, and a couple hours later, his father called and said his fever's spiked. It's ridiculous. He just can't hold his head up. He won't even watch his computer. He's just out in the bed. And it didn't even occur to me that maybe this was a spiritual attack. And people would say, well, why would God allow that? Because he stood for his faith. Why would God allow it? Well, we are tried as by fire. We are shown, because the devil is a liar, and he likes to make you think he has more power than he does. Now, I am not a person that believes the demons under every rock and behind every evil. Okay? The man is just wicked within himself. But secondly, we're in a fallen world, and there are germs, and you can just catch stuff. I mean, it's not always a spiritual attack. But something came to me, didn't occur to me at first, and I was like, and something told me, you got to pray against what's keeping your son sick. This is not a natural sickness. This is something with a spiritual root to it. Because Satan likes to lie to you and fake you out, to make you think, if you stand for your faith, I'm going to punish you, or whatever. But he has no authority. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, rules of darkness, and spiritual wickedness in high places. But the Lord said he would give his angels charge over us to keep us in all of our ways, to lift us up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. And he also says that he who abides in the shelter of the Most High dwells in the shadow of the Almighty. He says, I am the Lord that healeth thee. Okay? So I stood on that. I am not a word of faith person. I do not believe God heals immediately, miraculously, all the time. Sometimes he uses those things to keep us weak, to rely on his grace, to grow in him. That's what took me to come to him. Being sick for a long time and losing everything, because I was that stubborn, But he uses all things for the good of those who love him. I'm not speaking evil of our God. I don't believe he punishes us. I believe he uses the consequences in our lives to bring us to him. So I wanted to tell you that he had that fever, super sick the next day. I came on here. I contacted a couple of you that I knew were very close to the Lord. And I told you that my son, I believe that my son was struck with a super high fever, was really sick. And I didn't believe it was just a physical origin. I felt something, it told me, you need to pray against, there's a force behind this. This is not, and I try to listen to that voice. So I asked some of you to pray, and you did. And this morning I got a call. There's a snowstorm here. I couldn't get to him because we had planned on taking him to the hospital today, but I told my son's dad, hold off. Just hold off. I need to do something before you take him in. At least let his body have a day that's what I told him. Let his body have a day to see if but I knew what I was doing. I was praying for him to get rid of it. But some people think you're crazy when you say there's a spiritual force behind an illness. That's not always the case. I don't believe that all the time, but in this case I did. And I spoke against whatever spirit was there. I asked you guys to pray for my son and lift him up to the Lord, and he woke up fine. Fever's gone, cough is gone, weakness gone, just gone. Wasn't even 24 hours. So I wanted to thank you all for your prayers. Again, don't lump me with some word of faith. If you have enough faith, the Lord, I don't do that mess, okay? Because I know God uses all things for the good of those who love him. And sometimes those things appear bad, but they're for our spiritual growth, because we're tried as by fire through trials, okay? So that through trials of faith, how's your faith going to grow if it's never tested? It's not to prove yourself to God, it's to prove yourself to you, you see? It's to prove God to yourself, his faithfulness. So, and to help you grow in spiritual authority and understanding. That's what I believe. So, I wanted to thank you all very much for lifting my son up in prayer, and, let's just keep contending for the faith, I'm just so in love with God. It's why I serve him. I know he saved me. I did nothing to deserve it. I didn't turn over a new leaf and repent of my sins. Now, a lot of what I used to do, I just don't do anymore because he's in me, and it doesn't feel good to do it, and I love him, and I don't want to hurt him. I want to give, because I'm representing his name. And it says, all those who say the name of Jesus or claim the name of Jesus, let them depart from iniquity, And I want to do that because I love him, and I don't want to give my God a bad name and make it look like his people are hypocrites. But I just love him so much, and I want to serve him and just keep showing up faithful and faithful all the time, So thank you guys for standing your ground and praying for my son. I'm going to do some videos on 2 Peter tomorrow and a couple other things that people have been requesting. Okay? God bless.